Joining us now, Gene Sperling, Senior Advisor to the President. Good to see you, sir, as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
If Bidenomics is working, as the President lays out here, why don't more Americans in polling say they feel good about the direction of the company? 70% say they think the country's on a wrong track. 60+% disapprove of the President's handling of the economy. Where's the disconnect?
Yeah, let me try to explain. I mean, first of all, I think what the president was putting out today in terms of Bidenomics, the idea that it's not trickle down, but the actual investing in America, empowering workers directly, encouraging competition and lower prices, I think has been working. Now, I think you were right on one thing, which is that, you know, the last 2.5 years have been tough. You know, we've gone through the pandemic, COVID. Yes, we will and can argue that that core inflation in the G7 is now lowest in the U.S. Overall inflation's lower. It's only been 2.2% the last 3 months. But, of course, it's also the case American families did not escape the rise in global inflation. And I think that's probably had some effect on what they're saying in polls. But let me just say a few positive things. One, polls that ask people about their job satisfaction or their personal financial situation tend to be much more positive. Second, polling about the president's key accomplishments, the bipartisan infrastructure, the semiconductor investment, the overall Made in America, Invest in America strategy are extremely popular, like 75% approved. And so the more that people see those things benefiting themselves, their popular policies, as they understand he's is responsible for that, I think you are going to see a better reaction. But the last thing I'll just say is we've had one real test, right, which was the midterm elections. And despite predictions that from those polling, it ended up being a historically positive midterm election for the president. Perhaps some of that was on abortion and post-Dobbs, but certainly the polling did not on, simply asking people their approval did not end up being very decisive for, and people decided they wanted more of the president's policies, not less.
Well, look, it's a very fair point. The question I think the secondary question is did they vote democratically in more numbers than expected in 2022? Anybody would have to agree with that. Did they do it because of the president's economic policies or in spite of their feelings about the president's economic policies? I wanted to ask you, though, you made a big point about talking about investing in America. And the one thing the White House continues to tout, and you should, right, is the unemployment rate. Added 339,000 jobs in May, 3.7 unemployment rate. That is historic, and it's remained historically low and continued to drop during the president's time in office. It's incredible. The flip side of that has been those very same investments in America is what drove sky-high inflation. And I understand the president today talked about, oh, well, it's Russia's inflation, it's Putin's inflation. The American people haven't seemed to buy that, and they're still really feeling high prices. And I don't know how long can you tell Americans, hey, look, you just got to keep paying this price hike and be happy because you have a job?
So let me just answer that with some facts. Headline inflation over the last 3 months annualized has been 2.2%. A year before that, it was over 9%. Even if you look at a year, it's gone down to 4% again. Year before that, it was over 9%. Looking at core inflation, which is still too high for sure, we are seeing downward movement in the housing prices, the core logic housing prices, which suggests that is going down. And we are lower than any of the G7 countries. So I guess I disagree with you on one thing. I think I think that what we saw was a global inflation phenomenon that was largely caused by impacts from the pandemic and the higher prices from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And I think it is pretty strong evidence that if only the United States had had high inflation, that would be pretty damning. But what you saw was you had global inflation regardless of what other countries did, and the United States has been now on the lower side with real wages going up. So I do disagree that it was caused by President Biden's American Rescue Plan, which I think was responsible for this historic job recovery. But where you and I would probably agree is that regardless of how we rank globally, you know, if you're going through the grocery line or the gas pump, you know, it's still a little bit depressing. But those things are stronger now, and again, we're now seeing real wages, and particularly for non-supervisory, non-executive workers going up. So I think there are still a lot of positives out there. And again, the fact that the president's policies, not just his policies, but his accomplishments, you know, get 75% approval, which I don't think anything gets 75% approval anymore.
Yeah, no, fair enough. We have a hard time getting people to agree on what kind of, you know, if puppies are cute at 75%. Gene Sperling, thank you very much. It's good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.